Hello and welcome back to Good Nightmare, a podcast where no pants are the best pants, and I am running out of introduction ideas. Today's episode topic is reincarnation. This is something that I wholeheartedly believe in. Make sure you stay tuned to the end of the episode to hear a promotion from a great podcast that I highly recommend. Reincarnation is the theory that an aspect of a living being begins new life in another body after experiencing a biological death. Reincarnation may occur when a person has unfinished business or has a balance they need to settle from their previous life. Children who are considered to be more spiritually available to the other side, so to speak, are often the ones who exhibit signs that they may contain reincarnated souls. They may express memories, fears, dreams, or desires for a life that has passed, or they may behave in the same way as a loved one that they have never met. In today's episode, we look at the stories of the Pollock Sisters and Ryan Hammond, 3 children said to be reincarnations of former living beings. This first story begins with a very quick mention of child death, so if this is something that you're uncomfortable with, please skip ahead. About 10 seconds or so should do it. In Hexham, England, in 1957, sisters Joanna, 11, and Jacqueline, 6, were walking to church with a friend when they were struck and killed by a car. The girls' parents, John and Florence, were naturally distraught over the loss of their daughters. Though the couple were Catholic and Florence was sceptical, John was adamant that he would have another set of girls and that they would be their children, reborn into new life. John began speaking to others of his belief, though no one took much notice until Florence fell pregnant with twins. Florence gave birth to 2 healthy young girls, who she and her husband named Jennifer and Gillian. Jennifer was born with a mark on her forehead, in the same place as a wound sustained by Jacqueline in the accident. She also had a birthmark on her waist that was said to be identical to Jacqueline's. Her parents were convinced that the twins were reincarnations of their lost daughters, and the affirmations would keep coming. Florence, John, and their daughters moved to Whitney Bay when the girls were around 3 months old. They were not familiar with their older sisters' lives or surroundings. At 2 years old, Jennifer and Gillian started asking their parents for toys they didn't own, toys that had belonged to their older sisters. The family moved back to Hexham when the twins were 4. The twins would recognise and name landmarks that would have been frequented by their older sisters, including the school the older girls had attended. They could call their older sisters' dolls by their original names. They'd have recurring nightmares and wake in distress, having dreamt of being hit by a car, and when a car would pass them slowly on the street, the girls would explain that the car was coming to get them. With no explanation, the memories and signs of reincarnation stopped abruptly when the girls turned 5. And they never again mentioned their previous life. Skeptics might conclude that the girls had been told the story of their sisters enough to be able to speak about them, that they had heard about how their sisters were killed, and that's what brought on the nightmares. After all, learning of such a traumatic event as a child is likely to haunt you. This next case, however, even the most rational mind may struggle with. In 2009, 4-year-old Ryan Hammond began experiencing distressing nightmares. He would wake, calling for his mother, crying that his heart had exploded. He would tell her that he missed his old life, that the conditions he was living in weren't up to par with what he was used to when he lived in Hollywood. Well, perhaps not in so many words. Ryan had never lived in Hollywood, nor had he had 3 children, lived on a street with Rock in the name, or had a friend named Senator Fives, though all of these were memories that he distinctly recalled. It wasn't until the day his mother Cindy was looking through old Hollywood photographs that Ryan was able to identify himself. He pointed to a picture of 2 men. "That's George," he said, "and that's me." The man he claimed to have been was Martin, a Hollywood agent who had died in 1964. A reporter who was investigating the case got in contact with Martin's daughter, who confirmed that her father did in fact have a friend named George, and that he had another named Senator Ives. Cindy took Ryan to meet Martin's daughter. However, when Ryan saw her, he claimed that she was different. Cindy had moved on from her loss. Ryan was described as standoffish and disinterested, as though he suddenly had no desire to be there with Martin's daughter. Surely there's no clear way to explain how Ryan had these memories, or how he'd come across a photo of himself where he was able to identify not only himself but also his friends from the past life. One psychiatrist explained his sudden change of behaviour as Martin or Ryan having found closure. Apparently, when a reincarnated soul is able to see someone from their past life and see that that person has moved on, they're able to find peace and therefore pass on to the other side, to whatever else might be waiting for them. What are your thoughts on reincarnation? Is it simply coincidence? Is it all made up? Or do you think it's real? It's something that I like to wonder about personally. And whether it is real or not, it's nice to think that the possibility is there, that our souls are recycled. And perhaps that's why sometimes we feel so immediately bonded to others when we first meet them. Or why we experience déjà vu. I know there have been a couple of instances in my life where I've instantly connected with someone, and the relationships have only grown since that moment. And from a scientific point of view, reincarnation is kind of viable. Maybe not in the sense of the soul itself, but in the idea that our bodies return to the earth and they feed the earth. And from that, plants grow and animals grow and worms and bugs and trees and flowers. Have you had any experiences with memories that you can't explain or reincarnation? I would love to hear about them. And if you would like me to share them on the show, please let me know. If I get enough write-ins about reincarnation stories, ghost stories, or interesting nightmares, I might make a bonus episode of listener stories. It's something that I was playing with the idea of a while ago, but it never came to fruition. So if there's something you would like to share with me directly, definitely email me at goodnightmare_s@outlook.com, or you can catch me on Twitter or Instagram at goodnightmare_s on both. Thank you so much for listening, and don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, and share me with your friends. And until next time, sweet dreams.
I'm Emily from the Sounds from the Shadows podcast. The podcast where the Shadow Girls get together, tell stories, talk about storytelling, and strange things that have caught our interest. If this sounds like the kind of podcast you'd like to listen to, then come join us in the shadows. We've got a story to tell you.